Welcome to Starfleet Universe On Call. I am Paul Franz, owner of Franz Games. I'm on SFU Online, FedCom Online, and Starfleet Warlord. Just a reminder how to join us for a TAuxCast every Thursday and Saturday night at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. You can either call on the phone, it's on 605-562-0444. Just follow the directions. Call ID is 17702. Or you can participate on the web. Just go to the Talks website at www.talkshoe.com and search for call ID 17702. SFU On Call or Starfleet Universe On Call. You should find us there. But, of course, if you want the best online experience, you got to go to twitch.tv. Yep, that's twitch.tv. Twitch.tv/SFU On Call. You will find us there at 9:30, well, a little later, p.m. Thursday, almost every Thursday night. I do my best to have one every single night, but there are some times like, Thanksgiving. It's an American holiday, but my wife would definitely frown on if I had the podcast on that night. So, and other Thursday nights as they come to happen. One of those probably will be happening on July 27th, because I'm going to be driving back and forth from here to Washington and back to help out my daughter, and I probably will be totally tired at that. But, well, I'm just going to wait and see. I might decide to have it anyway. But anyway, moving on forward, if you need to contact me for any reason, my email address is sfuoncall@gmail.com. That's sfuoncall@gmail.com. Also, if you want to, you can follow me on Twitter while it still exists. That's sfuoncall. Also, you can follow my personal account. That's Paul Franz, PAULFRANZ. There's no T in that. And also Franz Games. FRANZGMES, and that's again no T in that. If you live in at least southeast Pennsylvania, that makes sense. Don't ask. And of course, this lovely TalkCast gets into a podcast available on iTunes and various other feeds around the net. From ADP this week, there's pretty much nothing going on. Obviously, the increased postage, which I announced last week, just a reminder of that will be starting on July 8th. As of today, that's 2 days away, because today's July 6th. In 2 days, July 8th, there'll be that's when the price increase will occur on all packages. So if you're listening to this before July 8th, like tomorrow, please, if you plan on placing an order, do it now before the shipment costs go up. And this week found on the online store is Starfleet Battles Module R4T, the Tholian Will. It's $23.95. The Tholian Will has a 48-page rule book that includes dozens of new Tholian ships, some from their home galaxy, M81, and some designed and built in this galaxy. So that is the product for the week found on the online store. I would definitely, if you like the Tholians or even want to find out more about the Tholians, obviously getting Module R4T is a good idea. Moving on forward, when it comes to the SFB Online Tournament, the Sapphire Star 14 tournament, we have 7 out of 8 games completed. There's one more game to be completed, so we're just waiting for Peter Bakia and Jeff, yes, our friendly Jeff, to close up the round. And just for those who are interested, I'm playing the Andromedan, and I'm going to be fighting against Stephen McCann. Stephen McCann is flying the WYN TAuxBC, and that's with the phaser arrangement, i.e. 3 phaser 1s and a phaser G, and I have to look at that to see where the phaser G is. I'm pretty sure the phaser G is on like the left side, if I recall correctly. I think it's 11G1, which means it's on the left side. So it's a 180-degree arc instead of the front arc, which is only 120. Moving on forward to online client stuff, I did have a chance to actually fix an issue with launch units starting with moves set to 1 instead of set to 0. I was told by Peter Bakia that this is a issue for people that get confused, that because especially when it comes to plasma, they need to know when it actually what's the difference, distance. Now, honestly, I never used that column, the moves column. I really should be, but I didn't, just because I'm used to playing the old school way, which is take the impulse that was launched from, and then from that, subtract, take the impulse that was hit on, subtract the impulse that was hit, launched from, and therefore you've got the range that has been going. So, if I call correctly, that's correct, unless there's certain mitigating factors that could cause it to change. Moving onward and forward, when it comes to the library report, there's no progress either in the SFB or the FedCom library. So that is the news for this week. And it's me, it's another one and only Paul Franz, welcoming you to Star for the Universe On Call. And tonight, well, we got Jeff. Say hi, Jeff.
Good evening, everybody.
And we got Doug. Hey, Doug. How you feeling?
Hello. Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Slightly better.
Well,
Yeah.
I prefer you slightly better than back where you were, so.
Yeah, hey, at least I'm not talking with things going ping in the background, so there you go.
Yeah, that would look kind of bad if you were doing that. There, okay.
But it's okay. We've got the machine that goes ping. Ping.
I was just thinking about that Python skit.
I don't know that script, but let's let it go at that. Okay.
The best version of that one is in the to the meaning of life.
Okay, whatever. I thought I had everything muted, and my watch seems to be still going off. But anyhow, let's get things started here. Originally was thinking about doing something on module R4T, but I decided I'm not really ready for that. I'll see if I can prep on that for next week, which is, I know we did. I think we did a review of module R4T, which is the Tholian Will module. I probably even have the electronic copy laying around. I have to go check. But I'm going to do a little more reading on that, and hopefully we can do a little more of discussion on that module. So in the meantime, can't have dead air, can we? So I think we'd start with and people want to get tired of this, and somebody tells me I'm not going to get as much of a response as I did this past week when it comes to YouTube videos, and that is I want to do at least a quick topic on the Andromedan versus the WYN TAuxBC. Now, of course, there's of course the obvious things that, for example, the TAuxBC can't hit. Okay, obvious thing number one. Obvious thing number two, it can't. If it stops, it can't. It's hard to get started again.
Well, it can head at least. It can head at least once.
You can try to head at least once.
I think I've seen. I think I saw you do it like 2 or 3 times in a row successfully in a game at an Origins tournament.
That is possible.
Much to the annoyance of the person you were playing against.
Yes.
I might add, because you kept making the itty bitty low rolls. Yes, it can hit. It's just Pretty much a courting of doom every single time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, agreed.
Catastrophic doom at that.
Oh yeah, and I mentioned this actually I think last week, which was that I think it might have been the news portion, but anyway, and that is that the only I did play against a WYN TAuxBC in my Andromedan, and he felt like his only chance in the entire world to beat me, only chance he had was let me as I jumped over him, he had the head to get behind me. He felt like that was the only way to win. So I did the little jump. And he rolled the dice. And he failed. And he went, good game. Nice to play you. So it was a very short game. Do I think that was his only option? And no, I do not. Because of the one thing that the TaxBC does have, it does have the 4 drone racks. Even in this configuration, which is Stephen McCann, who plays TaxBC a lot, so he knows how to play it. He knows the limitations. He knows how to use the limitations to his advantage. Obviously, the one big thing one advantage it does have is, of course, it's 2/3 movement, so it has more power. Now, of course, also because he's using completely the phaser, all phasers, that means that when it comes to amount of power required to fire all of his direct fire weapons is very, very low. Obviously, the big issue with that, because they're all phasers, is that you need to be nice and close. If you want to, yes, you can fire at long range, but you probably won't be firing at a range outside of range 5. But normally, that's not an issue overall. Now, of course, the great thing, not the great advantage, but one of those things that is nice that is limited is that he only has 2 300. If I recall correctly, I'm pretty sure it's only 2 360 degree on phaser ones. I think that's right. Is that right? Or is it 4? I didn't think I was going to need this, and I think I'm going to. So I thought I wasn't going to need. There it is. And don't mind me. I'm bringing up the module, T module right now. Oh, there it is, right there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share. I'm hoping that I pressed the right button. Because, nope, yes, I did. Yeah. So there's actually 4 phaser ones, 360 degree phaser ones. Then the way I recall, it's going to be 2 phaser ones in the FA arc, and 1 phaser G in the LS arc, and a phaser 1 in the RS arc. So on our initial battle run, obviously, if he turns so that his, turns in towards me, therefore bringing his additional phaser 1, so he'll have possibility of 7 phaser 1s pointing at me. That can hurt. Obviously, the good thing about it is that even though it can hurt, I should be able to make it into range 3 with a little issue. The only obvious problem with that, getting into range 3 or closer, is going to be the drones. I can't. Fortunately, he doesn't have any points to upgrade them to speed 32 drones. If he did, then I'd have a problem. But the drones, they can still cause issues, especially if he decides to hold them in, not launch them until I get closer in. Because in that case, then it'd be a lot harder to get to like the range 3 without giving him, giving myself a bad lineup. Because no matter what, though, depends upon how fast he goes. I'm assuming he's not going to go a slow speed, because there's no reason to go a slow speed, except for if he wants to put the drones out in front of him, because this all depends on how he uses his drones. If he uses his drones to be ahead of me, he can do that, especially if he launches them early, like between the first 8 impulses, and then turns away. Not quite corner dodge, but to the side away from me, so that the drones can get ahead of him and he can turn back, and so the drones will be before him. Because I have a hard time believing that Steve's going to fly the aux box very slow. Because one thing he can do is he can keep a pretty fast speed and still have lots of energy to either reinforce his shield, because see, that's going to be the big gotcha. Because like my last opponent did something which I was not expecting at all, which was he basically, instead of charging his disruptors, he put a brick on a shield number 2. Yeah, shield number 2. And let me get into range 5 on shield number 2. And I fired. I decided to take the shield number 2. And I fired, and then I hit 16 points of reinforcement. So, to say the very least, that hurt. No, I think it was 16 points. Yeah, 16 points. Because I got like 40 points of damage, and he had a 6-box shield afterwards, so he got 16 points. Now, the thing is, at that point, I had a choice of either taking shield number 2, which was given to me at range 5, or I could have gone to range 6. Obviously, not exactly the greatest when it comes to damage, but the question is, if I would have gone to range 6, I've been on shield number 3, which would have had no reinforcement whatsoever. If I rolled gotten the same roll of the dice, I have to double check the numbers, but I think it would have been like 30 points of damage instead of 40 points of damage. In which case, if that is the case, then I could have gotten some internals, or at least got one internal and had a down shield. But that in case, after I came around and got the shield number 2 shield and blasted it down, my previous opponent conceded. I think just because he was a little rusty, he felt like he couldn't continue on, and I took the win. Now with Steven, the way I expect him to play it, I expect him to play him pretty fast and possibly. Yes, I'm sorry. I have a cat standing beside me. Here, kitty. Do. I'll be right back.
Man Kazan Wars, episode 735,215,116.
I was just trying to help my cat so he could actually jump up to the window. Anyhow. I figured he was probably going to fly pretty fast and probably use his drones to great effect. At the very least, the idea being to use the drones to force me to either use them as terrain and force me to go around a little bit, or at the very least, use his drones to soak up my phaser fire and force me to force me to use up, energy, waste energy on these, or force me to use energy. So it will be interesting to see how that plays out. I know what I want to do. The question is, what will he do? Because who was it? Oh, I think it was the Romulan. Yeah, Romulan. The last tournament that I played that did something just really whacked and kicked my Saltorian's butt, where he stayed on his side and they turned in, and then he was surprised when I didn't go directly in on him, and I ended up off his shield number 2. It's like, dude, why would I come straight in on you? Because I need to be able, as a torpedoes coming in, I need to be running away. So I feel like that Steven will come directly in. Possibly. I said the question, I'm still not quite sure if he's going to put the drones in front of him or basically wait to get closer and maybe slow down, i.e. go fast at the beginning. The idea is to take the center of the board. Because of the center of the board, that means you control a lot more things. And Lord knows, I still remember back in the day, it was in the 1990s. I was playing John Stiff. Remember that mustache? He was playing the Hydrant. I was playing the Andromedan. He basically went around the board in the middle. Now this was the old Andromedan. The old Andromedan where you had all the batteries, all 6 batteries. You had, let me think about this. 24, you had the 32 power. So you had the 24 normal warp, and then you had 4, I think it might have been AWRs at that point, and 4 impulse. So it had 32 points of power. So it could run around the board pretty well. Of course, the biggest issue being the Hydrant was, of course, the Hellbores. But I kept on running around the board on the outside, and he kept on running around the board on the inside. And so obviously he was using a heck of a lot more energy than I was as I was flying around the board. And it's like, that was one of those times that you realize, this is just not working. I forget, was it him or was it somebody else? I think it was somebody else that actually was playing the Hydrant and caught me against the wall with his fighters and got his fighters like on my back shield at like range 2, and to say the very least, it was not a pleasant experience. But yeah, I ever can see.
Reminds me of that one PSA in one of the captain's logs early in the string. 2 Stinger 2s, range 0 against a D6.
Yes, I remember that quote unquote advertisement.
Yeah, this is what your ship looks after. They're surviving Stingers. Yeah.
Yeah,
Friends, don't let friends get to range 0 with Stinger 2s.
Yep. Yeah. I forget. I think it said something like, and when High Command tells you to attack, say no. But so at the very least, obviously he's got the speed, he's got the power. So now the one thing, obviously, I have to keep it very because here comes the question: is will Steven, i.e. Moose, will he play the battery drain game? Is the question. In other words, force me to run around like a madman trying to avoid him, using up my energy, and him not doing hardly anything else, possibly launching some drones, not firing any phasers, and just hoping that I'll run out of power and then start slowing down.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't there a risk of being determined that you're not being aggressive, or is that something that's never really called at Sapphire?
No,
I don't think that'll be a problem.
no, it won't be a problem.
That shouldn't be a problem.
Okay.
With those ships.
Yeah, it's not okay. It's not like he's going to basically come into the center of the board and just play. What's that?
Star Castle.
Star Castle. Thank you. And play Star Castle, where he's just going to spin around the board. No, that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is chasing me, just not firing anything at me. So in other words, he's not being non-aggressive. He's just not firing. He's being plenty aggressive. So if he wants to, he could fire. And you never know, he might fire. But the point being is that will he try to do? There's a couple of possibilities when it comes to strategies, or probably strategies, which is he can do the sandpaper effect, meaning go ding 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 ding, fire one phaser at a time, and just try to maximize the amount of degradation. That's one.
Just sandblast the panels, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And do it in a little bit at a time. He could also try to, hit me as hard as possible, and then know that at some point I'm going to have to toggle my panels. And when I toggle the panels, then take advantage of that situation and try to stay close at that moment in time. For me, it's going to be this whole game is definitely going to be focused around maneuver. Period. How he maneuvers and how I maneuvers. Most probably, we're going to be going around in circles. I mean, literally, I feel like we're just going to be going around in circles. It's not going to be, I come in, I attack him, and then I run away to the corner and he chases me. It's going to be more of, I run away, I hit him, I run away from him, but, like behind him and so forth, and then either he launched drones to keep me running, or he just turns in or turns out so that he'll catch me on the other side, because I can easily see that where we meet in the middle. He turns into me, so his shield number 2 is facing me. If he turns his shield number 2 and I face me, obviously I don't want to fire on his shield number 2 if possible. So that's because my guess is that he probably has a nice big brick there. I'm going to hit him, probably shield number 3.
I think in this situation, his best bet is going to be to just try to keep you at high speed and try to end the turn in the same hex with you.
Yeah,
and then he launches drones. He launches drones in that hex and forces you to dip dev on impulse 1. And then from there, he's got his drones as a obstacle or an overrun. And if you have a bad roll in your displacement device, the game's over.
Agreed.
That's probably a strategy he might pursue.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't have to spend weapons on you until he sees if you're going to get away from the drones or not. And even then, he can still follow you around for another turn and rinse and repeat a few times till he runs out of drones, which won't happen right away. And he could also leave the drones out there and have them follow the two of you around the map And, when you start to circle back, he's going to try to get at that range 0 thing again and launch another set of drones on you.
Mm-hmm. Well,
It's just a matter of time before you fail a displacement roll.
oh, understood. Now,
but the advantage that you have is you're absolutely much more maneuverable than he is.
Yep.
And he's driving a bathtub, a
Agreed.
high-speed bathtub,
Yes.
but a bathtub nonetheless. And you should be able to, call the position out
Mm-hmm.
at the end of a turn.
Yeah.
Might not be easy. He might even settle for range 1 for launching all this stuff. So there's that. Just a quick thought on it. Like you said, you might just he might go for the small grind.
Mm-hmm.
But he's got the ability to rip.
What was that, Jeff?
If he tries to get to range inside of range 3 with you, and you've got your TRs loaded for bear, that's when another aspect of the Andromedan comes into play. It's not difficult to hit on reserve power.
Mm-hmm.
Unplanned hit, and you could catch him with his knickers down.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Do you have 2 hets on that thing? I forget. Does the Andro have 2 hets?
No. It's not nimble.
No. Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, he could work to burn that, and work to make you burn your het, and work to make you get a failed displacement device roll.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
And then when you fail, if you fail a second het, you're done. And if you fail a displacement roll, there's a good chance you'll be in a very bad position then.
Agreed.
All right.
Now, obviously, overall, I don't want to get in closer than range 3 as it stands. Because the biggest issue being, even though I do have a good sized battery, and I'm going to do my best to try to keep it full to a certain degree, because that's always the guys with the Andromedans. You don't want it to be full. You want it to be possibly half full. Maintain something like that where you have the ability to drain it if necessary, to have it so it is empty. But at the same time, you don't want to be full so that you can't do a panel dump of some sort, even a limited panel dump.
You know what would be really, really rotten and evil?
What's that?
On his part. If he just follows you around for 3 or 4 turns, and you burn everything, and you use your hat, and he maintains like a range of 1 on you.
Good luck on that one.
On turn 1 of the next turn, he tractors you.
Yeah. Oh, Doug, this is my greatest fear. This is why I mentioned the whole wait and see strategy, which is just chase me around, not fire a single weapon at me. But obviously, and then just wait for me to completely drain, my batteries, so that he can then tractor me, and I'm toast.
Yeah.
Now,
well, your big counter to that, it's just getting on his back shields. Get one of them down, and it's you.
Yep, my definitely.
That shouldn't be too hard.
Yeah, well, the tough part about staying
With the
behind
maneuverability.
the tough part about staying behind him is, of course, the drones. Those are always the gotcha when trying to chase anybody with drones, because all they got is just chuck them out the rear, and you got to do something about
Yep.
them. Either go around them or knock them out.
Well, you don't chase him. You just make battle passes at him. If you get one rear shield down and you repair it a little bit and it turns the other side to you, okay, you come in and make a pass on the other one. And just rinse and repeat until he doesn't have any rear shields left.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well,
you get a little bit of damage on him, it could go a long way.
right. Oh yeah.
Considering that you're both going to be high-speed ships. And
Mhm.
the more he bricks, the more he's going to have to brick later on. So, oh.
Yeah, but the
I love that.
right, and as you pointed out, the big thing that I have against him is, of course, is maneuverability. Period. Because because that's part of, not that I would turn mode to B. I can also het, number one, and two, I have the displacement device, which I don't have to use unless I want to get to a better tactical situation. Because that's what I did against my previous opponent. I never used my displacement device. Never needed to. Because he was going so fast, he turned in, he couldn't het. He was going speed 30 at the end of turn 1. He couldn't het. And he had just turned in like two impulses before. So I was able to get range 5 and just keep going. Now, will Steven do that? Don't think so. He definitely will have the ability to turn in towards me. Now, the question, obviously, at that point is, do I use basically, do I fly it in New Jersey style, basically, which is use the displacement device to move the ship into a tactical position that he cannot avoid, and especially given that with the WYN TAuxBC he has no hets, which means that I can go from being off of shield number 2 to being off of shield number 3, wait for the 4 impulses for my fire controller to come back, and stay on that shield number. I should be able to stay on that shield number 3. And then
the problem with that, there's one small problem with that,
what's that?
and it's you're handing it over to luck twice. The first one is that you successfully do the displacement, and if that fails,
Yeah, he's got you there.
And the second one is the assumption that you won't try to hit. Because I've seen many a player get surprised by a win actually heading and surviving.
Yeah, but again,
your game that I mentioned earlier was an outlier because of the number of times that you did it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean it'll be completely off the table for this guy.
Oh, agreed. But
especially if he's listening today.
Yeah, well, it's possible he might. Here's the thing, Doug. I'm not saying anything he doesn't already know. That's always the way I feel about it. It's not like I'm doing some super secret tactic.
It doesn't mean you need to remind him of it, Paul.
That is true.
Yeah.
But hey, that just makes me a better player. That if I can tell the guy this is what I'm gonna do, and I can still beat him.
I was just thinking, you're sitting at the table and, and you're playing and somebody walks up and, oh, you could do, and you just look over and cool it, will you?
Oh, trust me. Oh,
Convincing.
Or better yet, you get to the end of the match and he says, "You didn't mention any of that crap during your TED talk." Yeah.
very true.
How dare you beat me that way?
I'm not gonna tell you
I was
all my
expecting
secrets.
the X, Y, and Z.
You know. But yeah, okay.
Say that again.
Well, again, yes, I agree that relying on this dev for that position, I shouldn't do. I agree there. But just like he can't rely on doing a successful head. The reason why most players actually do a het in the WYN TAuxBox is purely out of desperation. That is their only move. They have no other choice in the matter. Just like I said earlier, the guy who basically I jumped over him successfully, and then he decided, well, the only way to beat me was actually to hit and fire out my rear panels. He felt like that was his only move, and when he failed, he conceded. Now, do I think Stephen McCann's going to do that? No, I do not think he's going to do that. Even if I do that, if I do the crazy thing of is going range 3, jumping over him, and then running away that way, I'm willing to bet he's not going to hit. He'll say, okay, he'll take the long approach to that, turn in, and start chasing me. Plain and simple. So, I said, the thing I have to do, I need to contact him to see when he's available, because he's also a truck driver. So,
yeah,
that sounds familiar.
Yeah, but overall, he's not as doesn't drive nearly as the distances that you do, Jeff. Let's put it that way.
Well, just because he's a truck driver doesn't mean it's an analog to what I do.
Understood. As is, you guys are number 3. There's a guy named Clint who also plays SFB and also is a truck driver. And actually, during the Iraq War, he was seeing if he could actually, pass everything he needs to pass to drive a truck over there. Because my understanding from him is they were paying big bucks. How truck drivers drive the highways in Iraq.
yeah.
Which you can understand why.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a lot like when the oil fields started opening up in the Dakotas. They were commanding giant rates because there were short of the company towns that were popping up. There were no real services available to you, and you could pretty much get home about once a season. It was yeah. There's a reason that those early guys were making $250,000 a year.
Mm-hmm.
Because there literally was nothing else to do but work.
Right. Understood. I was thinking about the world's deadliest catch and how much money they can make on those boats. Now, obviously, one, it's quite dangerous, and 2, it's a lot of hard work. So.
And the thing is that particularly with that group of people, is there's only 2 or 3 different types of products they can go after in a given year. So they might be out 10, 12 weeks, but that 10, 12 weeks they're out, it's probably all the revenue they're going to get for the year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Very seasonal, dangerous work.
Yep.
Yes, it is.
So is that the main topic tonight?
That was the main topic. If
Just,
you guys have something else you
Andro
want
versus
to,
WYN.
if there's another topic you want to bring up, I'd be more
I
than
was
happy.
gonna say let's plug gamers a little bit because that's coming up in a few months. Labor Day weekend, we've contracted with the Red Lion Hotel here in Harrisburg. Off of, it's not on Eisenhower Boulevard. It's on the other side of the highway from that. But it's a very nice hotel. It's got tons of meeting rooms. It's actually quite large. Doesn't look it when you go up into it, but it's a sizable place built for the tourist season.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it would be a perfect spot to run an SFB tournament. Yeah, of all the places we've had in the last 15 something years, maybe the Moose Lodge would have been similar in size for running a tournament like that. This place it's big, and we'll have plenty of space in our room.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, the Monday part is half price compared to the rest of the weekend.
Yep. Here's the prices. All the whole weekend for the 3-day pass is $50. If you want a 2-day pass, that's Saturday and Sunday. That's $40. Single day pass is $20, either Saturday or Sunday. Monday is only $10. Also, children for the weekend. A 3-day pass is only $40. Children's 2-day pass is Saturday and Sunday. That's gonna be $30. And children, when it comes to Monday, is also just $10.
Oh, and there's no extra charge for the events within the events.
Right.
You can do open gaming. You can run demos of whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
And
by all means, bring your own games.
I could understand if you wanted to charge a nominal fee for the SFU one because of the materials you have to use.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, but generally we don't usually have additional fees. I mean, we can make exceptions, but there it is. I mean, you want to come in and run a special tournament, or if you want to run a special event, like do a nice big bully and wedding cake or series of scenarios or something. Yeah, there's no extra charge for that stuff. Tournament might be different for SFB because of what's needed to run it.
Right.
But that's yet to be determined. That would be up to probably the guy running it, Paul.
Understood. I will think about it and definitely send events to you ASAP. And also, obviously, I will what kind of events I will be running. I will also announce it here. And obviously, anyone who's in Orioles won 14-1, just to let you guys know. I will announce any events here, and anyone that's in the Harrisburg area or within driving range, or an hour or two, if you want to bring your trailer in, we can find a place to have them parked. Hey, you never know. And obviously, it's going to be at the Red Lion Hotel, so they'd be more than happy to take you in for a day or two. If they're if you're willing to pay for staying there, they'd be happy to have you. And so
I'm sure they would.
Yep. So it definitely it'd be worth driving out, and I will be there, so you get to see my lovely face, which would be awesome. I will be bringing all my SFB and my FedCom stuff, including. And this one too. For those of you who are just on the podcast, I just showed my 2 things of FedCom cards. Now, I'm still not too happy. Not that I'm angry. I understand. But ADB not currently printing gunboat cards for FedCom. It's just that the quality stuff they were printing was awesome. The quality of the print, the quality of the laminate was awesome. And I'd be willing to pay top dollar for it. I really would. But I understand that it could cost probably, I think they say like 3 times the previous cost. I.e., instead of costing me maybe about $10, it'll cost me like $30. And as I said, I'd be willing to pay it, but I know not everyone out there would be willing to pay it, and therefore it doesn't really make much sense money/time wise for them to create the cards just for me. I know I'm special and all, but
Yeah.
I don't think
Here's the deal.
they think that I'm that special. Yes.
With
yes,
the way
sir.
things have been going, if we give it another year, the economy might come back to the point where people start thinking about these things again. In the last year, I've seen milk come down almost $1 a gallon on average where I shop. And I'm seeing fewer and fewer trucks in truck stops that look like they've been parked there forever and a day. People are starting to come back and do what they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, it has effects on industry all over the place. Just because ADB can't do it today doesn't mean they won't be able to do it in the future.
Oh, understood. I totally understand that. I'm like anyone else. I want it now. But as I said,
Yeah. Patience. How long is that going to take me?
yeah, as I said, obviously I can do them myself. It's just gonna be, expensive. Yeah, whatever. I'm willing to pay it. It's just the time factors for me is the tough part. Picking the material, having someone laminate it, all that kind of thing. That's going to be the toughest part about the whole project. It's going to be the time factor. And it's got remember. There's so many things I want to do, and there's so little time I have to do them all in.
Yeah. I know a little bit about that.
That's gonna be weird though. My wife's gonna be going off for like a 2-week thing over on in the West Coast, so that should be interesting. Cause I'm not sure what I'm planning on doing at the moment. It's like from August. She's gonna be gone from August 6th to August 18th. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna be doing between those 2 weeks. I might take some time off of work and just chill around the house. I might decide to go someplace and just chill out someplace else, especially now that I have a trailer. Though it's going to be August. If I go anywhere with a trailer, my guess in August, I'd probably head up north to Lycoming County or Tioga County, up there where you're in the mountains, and definitely cooler weather prevails. Because I just think back to here. Was it William Penn or Willsbury Penn? Wells Penn. It's in Willsboro, in Tioga County, and they basically, one of the things is people used to go up there during the summer because it was cooler up there from Philadelphia. So there actually was a train that used to go all the way up, that far up north.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
Running away from the heat's nothing new.
oh, agreed. So
Yeah, until they get all their hot air going.
actually, that's what I probably should do. Is I should check out. I got on my phone. I keep an eye on. I have Mansfield, which is where my daughter went to college, is up there. So I still have the location for Mansfield. So I can probably keep an eye on the actual. Oh crap! Actual temperature. I was gonna go check myself, and then I realized, oh, I can't, because my phone is like that way. Across.
Whoops.
Yeah, it's across the house. Let me just see if I can. Right now, okay, it's like 72 degrees out. It's supposed to get down to 66 degrees in the morning, which is like 5 degrees cooler than it will be here, which is all I need.
Sounds nice, actually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's beginning around here. It's beginning around in the mid 80s. It actually got up to 90 today, which actually is not too bad. I had a fan going, but I didn't need air conditioning. But anyhow, I'll wrap it up with that this evening. Obviously, Gamers of Summer are coming. Come and join us. So, gentlemen, it has been lovely talking to you guys this evening. Jeff, I wish you luck in your game in defeating Peter Bakia. Yeah.
Well, as long as I don't step on my crank, I think I'll be happy with it.
Mm-hmm. Understood. Well, safe travels.
Will do.
Okay, bye. Doug, please stay out of the hospital.
Yep. I'm out of it now. So
Yeah,
there
no,
you go.
but now let's try to keep it that way. That'd be good. I'm sure your wife was concerned, and definitely I saw it on Facebook last night, and I was a little bit concerned. It's like,
No guarantee of future performance, but there it is.
Understood.
But, it was. We thought it was cardiac stuff, and it turned out to be COVID instead.
Right.
Joy. But the COVID was causing some of the cardiac issues because of it draining like all the minerals out of my body.
Right. Understood. Well, obviously, I'm not going to be visiting anytime
I'm
soon.
happy to know I'm happy it was just, the third time with COVID instead of like having to go have a procedure done for my heart. I'm okay with that. I'll take that every goddamn time.
Agreed.
So.
I'm not a person who really is thrilled about operations either. So anyhow, you have a good night.
Yeah, not thrilled with them. You too. Thank you, Paul.
Okay, bye. So hopefully I will be victorious sometime. I obviously have to contact Steve McCann about playing our game to see when he's available, because I'm available probably a lot more. My schedule's a lot more open than probably his is, because I know a lot of times he's driving. I don't think he's not. I don't think he's local, but he's not, really long distance, as in cross country driving. But hopefully we can get together in the next couple of weeks, because I'd like to get it in, because it should be an interesting fight. I had not fought against the WYN TAuxBC for a while. Obviously, I feel like I can win this one. I've got plenty of options when it comes to offensive and defensive options. And we'll just have to wait and see how it all turns out. So with that, I am Paul Franz, and I bid you a good night.